Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by for your July tarot forecast, or tarot insights, I should say. What I'm going to be looking at is not a comprehensive look at your month at all. This is going to be covering one theme that shows up during your month at some point. It may have to do with love, it may have to do with family, it may have to do with work, it may have to do with your home. It can be anywhere. I basically have given free rein to Sacred Spirit. We're going to talk about whatever it is that Sacred Spirit wants to bring up for each sign. So it's whatever is most important for you guys to hear about. I know that disappoints some of you because you just want those love readings, but sometimes there are other things that are important too. So, what I'm actually going to be looking at in these monthlies is one particular life cycle that shows up for you sometime in the month of July. And a life cycle, what do you need to know about that? A life cycle is something that we all go through, and the purpose of it is to teach us something or to let us experience something either new or at a new level than before. So life cycle gives us a new lesson or new experience, and we have the setup of the life cycle, then we have the lesson or the experience, and then we have the fulfillment or the ending of the life cycle. The fulfillment is what happens as we integrate that lesson or experience into our lives, and that'll be more at the end of the reading. That'll be like the last 3 cards that I talk about. Before that is the setup, and then in between is the actual lesson or experience. How long is a life cycle is something that I hear a lot. Life cycles really, as far as timing, depend on you and how quickly you embrace or how much you resist the lesson or experience that you're being set up for. So, completely up to you. I've seen life cycles last as short as 20 minutes, although that's pretty rare usually. And I've seen them go on for years and years and years. So like I said, it really depends on you and how willing you are to embrace the lesson or how much you're resisting that lesson or experience. Okay, so thank you once again, everybody, for stopping by, for hanging out. I do appreciate it. Now you know what you're getting into. On with your reading. Hello there, Taurus. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly tarot forecast or monthly tarot insights. What we have coming up for you first is a card that talks about your environment. An environment can be any place where you have energy or effort invested. So usually it's home. I have seen it come up as work and school before. So keep your mind open whenever we're talking about this. But for environment, I feel like sometime during the month of June, or maybe even very recently, you're starting to look around and realize that your environment is not what you thought it was, and you're starting to feel like basically it's not what you thought it was in a negative way. Like you're starting to see something about the environment that you didn't notice before, that's something that is not actually as good for you as what you had hoped. Let's put it that way. The next thing I'm looking at does talk to me about your subconscious leanings. And what I have here is that your subconscious is really working on your emotions and balancing your emotions out and really actually getting in touch with what your emotions are, even at a more basic level. Seems to me like there's probably been a lot of stuff that you've kind of held back as far as emotions, and so your subconscious is just trying to dig into that deeper part of that and get to the bottom of what do you really feel about some issue in your life. The next card I have talks to me about 2 different things. First of all, your learning style. Secondly, your communication style. I feel like, Taurus, you are kind of infinitely curious whenever it comes to whatever's going on in this life cycle. There's something here that you are just infinitely curious about. You never run out of questions. You're just always wondering and wanting to add to whatever information that you have. As far as communication style, It looks to me like you're doing some pretty balanced communication whenever it comes to this life cycle. So you're doing a really good job of saying what you need to say and also hearing what the other person needs to be able to say to you as well. So there's a really good, healthy give and take that's showing up here, and that's kind of nice to see. Kind of nice to see. All right, next thing that we have talks to me about your work. And with me, we've got work as in how you can make a living, but work can also show up in the cards as those things that you're doing to improve your inner character. So whenever I'm looking at a card and it's talking about work, what I'm seeing here for you guys is that I feel like you have been, maybe before June or in early June, you have been in a situation where you felt like you were being taken advantage of as far as work goes. Maybe you didn't feel like you were being paid well enough, or maybe you felt like you were just putting in too many hours and you didn't have time for a family life or for your own life. I see that turning around as you go through this life cycle in June. I see you starting to feel like things are more fair and more equitable there. As far as inner work really has to do with keeping that balance. And the inner work, this is more of an emotional thing, has to do with the keeping of the balance between, this really feels strongly to me like it's a relationship thing. This could be about finances. For a few of you, maybe it will be, but the strongest impression that I'm getting here is that this is a relationship thing, and that your inner work is really to find balance in the relationships that you have. So this tells me that a lot of you Tauruses have either been overdoing in a relationship. You've been putting much more energy and effort into relationship than the people you're in relationship with. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationship. I'm talking about like all your relationships in general. And then the other way that this can come in is if in relationship you're always the taker. You may be starting to realize, wow, I get a lot more from these relationships than I actually put back in for the other person. And you may be starting to come into that point where you want to change that. You want to be just as valuable as them, as they are to you. You want to be that valuable to them. And so you're working on, how can I contribute more to these relationships? That can be going on too. So either learning how to be in a relationship and not overgive of yourself, or to learn how to be in a relationship and to give an equitable and fair amount to the other person in the relationship. And once again, this doesn't feel like it's just romantic relationships. Some of you it will be about romantic relationships, but I think even for those of you that this applies in a romantic relationship, I think that this also applies to other relationships in your life as well. Family relationships, friends, business relationships, because we do kind of tend to, if we have a trend to act one way in one relationship, the tendency is to act similarly in similar relationships as well. So this is not something that's going to be just in one category of your life. The next thing that I have coming up tells me that part of your personality that is being grown or expanded right now. I think you've been a little bit jaded with relationships. And seeing this card and putting it together with the other one, I would say that then for most of you, you've been the ones that are giving too much into the relationship, or maybe not too much, but more than the other person. And so you're feeling a little bit jaded by relationships. And to me, for some of you, this is going to be at a very specific relationship, but for a lot of you, this is going to be relationships in general. You're going to be noticing that trend. You're going to be looking around and realizing, it's not just with this one person that treats me like this. Everybody treats me like this to one degree or another. How did that happen? How do I fix that? But definitely being jaded, just kind of having that attitude, nobody really loves me. They just want what I have. That type of attitude is what I see coming up as the part that's actually growing and expanding for the month of July. The next thing that I have talks to me about that part of you, that thing that you stand up for. And so what we've got for this life cycle, what I see you standing up for, Taurus, is your own ability to make choices and make your own decisions, not to be giving so much to other people that you really don't feel like you have a choice. For instance, say that you are giving so much to people that your time is really tied up, and so you have an opportunity to go to a class is something that you're really, really interested in, or maybe to go to a ball game that you really want to see, and so the opportunity is there, the invitation is there, you have what it takes to go do this, but you don't have time because all your time is tied up helping this other person or helping these other people. So this is really talking about you taking a stand for yourself to be able to make some choices so that if you have an opportunity come up, it's not just eaten away by all these other things that you're doing for other people. So that if you have an opportunity come up, you can decide, hey, I might want to go to that class. Maybe I'll go to it, and just put yourself out there and do some of these things that you would really like to do, even if they aren't for someone else. It's okay if they're for you, and I see you really standing up to be able to make some of these decisions about doing some things for yourself. All right, so the next thing that we have talks to me about how other people perceive you. Other people see you as moving on, leaving some negative influences behind, and moving on, moving forward, getting on with your life. So apparently there's something that is pretty dramatic if other people are noticing it, that you're leaving some negative influences behind. And I think that can be a really good thing. Let's see. The next thing that we have is the lesson or the experience. So what do we have here? I think really what you're learning is you're learning how to use the law of attraction, how to sort of turn the tide for yourself energetically so that your life starts to go in a way in a way that you actually want it to go. You're learning how to let the universe know what you want and sit back and wait for the universe to bring it in without trying to hustle it along or make it happen, but understanding how to work, getting a deeper understanding of how to work with the universe to have those things that you want in a way that is healthy for you, that doesn't stress you out, all of that good stuff. Okay, so fulfillment of this life cycle. I like it. All right, so we've got a few things coming up for fulfillment. One of the things is the Wheel of Fortune card, and that just tells me that the timing is right for you. And there's never really, like, all of our power, honestly, is in now. So the timing is always right for whatever it is that we want to do. But this is telling me that you are being blessed with some synchronicities that are positive, that are helping you move forward right now. So as you're learning law of attraction, you're already generating those synchronicities that are in your favor. I do see you still having defenses up against somebody or some negative influence or some negative thought pattern, that you're still sort of defending yourself and defending your territory from that. You're still learning how to move forward in that positive direction without being distracted or pulled off a track. So you've still got those defenses up against any distractions or anybody pulling you off track, or even your own thought patterns. For some of you, we're just talking about your own thought patterns sometimes pull you off track. And so you have your defenses up to keep that from happening as well. I do see ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle is realizing that there is something in your lifestyle or in the way you live your life that you're not 100% happy with. And we all have that to a certain degree. I mean, if we wouldn't be alive if we weren't living and growing and expanding, and we didn't want to have something that we don't quite have yet, and we work to bring that within our reach, and then we work towards the next thing. But this is something that is big enough that you don't like about your life that I feel like you start to take some steps towards changing that immediately. So it's like this ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle is actually the seed for your next life cycle. So it really actually kind of makes sense that you start to make those changes and get from point A to where you want to be as the ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle, starting to make those changes. Yay. So thank you so much, Taurus, for stopping by, for hanging out, for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. I do appreciate all of your support. Everyone have a fantastic month, and I will see you back here the next time. Peace out.